welcome to Seen Through Glass. Let's not mess around. This is my manual Ferrari 360. It's only just starting to sink in that is my car. I now own a Ferrari. Yeah, that's not real life, is it? Anyway, before I show you around the car and all the features and all the details, and especially the interior, I want to tell you the story of how I actually ended up buying this particular manual 360, because it's quite an amazing story. Now, for those of you that watched my video a month or so ago declaring that I was hunting for one of these cars, you will know that it all started with a dream. One night in July, I dreamt that I owned a manual Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale, my kind of all-time dream Ferrari. I woke up and immediately logged onto Auto Trader and then reminded myself that the Challenge Stradale was about £250,000 in the UK, and it only came with an F1 automatic gearbox, so I felt a little deflated. But I thought I would check the prices of standard manual 360s, still cars that I loved when I was growing up, but I expected them to be around sort of 150 grand, because what manual Ferraris aren't 150,000 pounds these days? But I was shocked to find out they were half that price. Good examples were about 80,000 pounds, but there are even some down at 60 grand. So that's where the idea was born. I started asking around, and the more I discussed it, the more I thought about it, the more I bought into the idea. So I decided to start talking about it on social media, which is when I got a tweet from a guy called Alex.
Hi guys.
That's Alex. He also made me this coffee. Thank you, Alex. No. Now, Alex said, why don't I check out a company who are specialists in 360s and 430s. That company was AV Engineering. I clicked on the link, opened it up, and it opened on the cars for sale section of the AV Engineering website. Right in front of me was a beautiful Rosso Corsa 360. Now, in my head, I thought if I'm going to buy my first Ferrari, it should probably be a red Ferrari. So I was like, it's a good start. Alex has done well so far. I clicked onto the second image, and the back of the car appeared, and it had a Challenge rear grille, a factory-fitted rear grille. It was an option from factory. And that was something else that I wanted, because it was kind of hinting towards or reminiscent of a Challenge Stradale. So I was like, this is getting better. Alex is a great guy. Finally, I clicked onto the third image, which revealed the interior of this car for the first time. And those of you that watched the entire video up to this point will know that for me, and hopefully for you, the interior is really the selling point of this particular 360. I personally find it stunning. Now, I didn't know you could have factory-fitted race seats in the standard 360. I thought they all came with a sort of cushy comfort seat, and only the Stradale came with sort of more racing bucket seats. But I was wrong, and pictures of this car told me that. I couldn't believe that not only was it a tan interior, which I wanted with my Rosso Corsa car, but it had the racing seats. I clicked on it, had a roll bar, had the fire extinguisher, it had full-on harnesses, and I was like, oh my God, this is the car literally the car I dreamed of. So I decided to troll AV Engineering at about 10 p.m. at night. I was sending them texts, emails, trying to call them. I was like, hello, is anyone there? I want that car. And eventually, after a night's sleep, only thinking about it, I woke up the next morning and called them directly. And as they picked up the phone, I went, hi, I'm calling about the manual 360 you have in stock. And the man on the other end of the phone, who I later discovered was Harvey, said, is that Sam? And I went, oh God, either this is going to be like, we're not selling you a Ferrari, we hate your videos, or this is going to be like, welcome to the family. And it turned out to be welcome to the family because, as we all now know, this is the manual Ferrari 360 I ended up buying. So let's actually look at the outside of this car, because as I say, for me, it was so important for my first Ferrari to be red. I know a lot of you will be like, oh, why did you get a red car? But I'm sorry, it's a red Ferrari. What else was I going to do? From the exterior, it does look like a pretty standard 360 because it is. As I say, we'll come around to the back and I'll talk about the Challenge grille in a moment. There will be a few things that I want to do to this car for sure. A lot of you sent me sort of links on Auto Trader and Piston Heads to cars that had the Challenge Stradale stripe, they had the Challenge Stradale wheels, they had sort of other modifications. I want to keep this car as Ferrari as possible. However, as you can see here, very conveniently, there is a Challenge Stradale with the Stradale wheels. So I definitely want to put some Stradale wheels on at some point. So that will be done. I'm not going to put a stripe. I'm not going to put the Challenge Stradale wing mirrors. As you can see here, they have carbon fibre wing mirrors on the Stradale. Very convenient having this right here. But the wheels, I think, are a must. Around the back, let's come here for now. There's two things to talk about. As I say, firstly, the Challenge grille, which was a factory-fitted option, I just think makes the car look a little bit more aggressive and sporty. But obviously the exhaust. Now this car has a completely standard stock Ferrari exhaust, but I think it's fairly obvious to say that I will be working on that. I am a YouTuber, I've got to make a video about changing my exhaust at some point, but as I say, I want to keep it as Ferrari as possible. So I'm not looking at the sort of Novitec Capristo options. Personally, I want to try and either track down an actual Challenge Stradale exhaust, or apparently you can fit a Ferrari F430 exhaust to these cars and it sounds like a Challenge Stradale. So that is the plan. All of these modifications will happen over time. It's not going to be an immediate thing. I personally love the car the way it looks. It looks like a very classic 360 to me. But because I am Sam and I do love my Challenge Stradales, I'm going to try and do a few things that are sort of additional nods towards this car. Right, now, this is where I think things get serious inside my 360. Oh, good Lord, how am I ever going to get used to this being my car? Look, so yes, as we talked about, race seats. This was probably the biggest selling point of this car for me, if I'm honest. We've also got the full racing harnesses and a roll bar up here. As you can imagine, very sort of track-focused car. You've got fire extinguisher as well. However, there's not a sort of real sign under the body of this car that it has been heavily tracked. The guys have been super meticulous looking over it, and whilst it suggests that it's sort of set up for track, there's not much history of it, so interesting on that point, but for me, it's wonderful. Steering wheel is this slightly sort of weird Alcantara type thing, which is kind of worn away over the years. I will probably switch that for leather again at some point. It's sort of nice, but I don't think it's particularly original, so that will probably go back to a black leather steering wheel. Down here, various controls, sport button, very simple, basic sort of old school dials there. I do have a radio, I do have air conditioning, but all importantly, I have got a manual gearbox. Look at this beautifully gated thing, 6-speed reverse over here. And it's, I've driven this car already. We obviously did a test drive, and it's better than I can ever have hoped. So more of that to come soon. Lots of other sort of little things down here. You've got, cigarette lighter, wing mirrors. Here is my bonnet open and my fuel cap. That just closes over nice and discreetly. But the tan, I just love the tan. And then red carpets. But it's a pretty amazing place to be, and unbelievably, this is now my home in terms of a Ferrari. I mean, Now you might be wondering why I've bought this car if there are all these things I want to change over time. Well, that's because for me it was very important to find a car that had great mechanical history. I went through the full history of this 360 with Harvey and Aldous from AV Engineering many times, and with their expertise and knowledge around 360s, Aldous runs one of the sort of top worldwide blogs on 360s and 430s, I felt really confident in the car's condition, so I was willing to forgive certain sort of cosmetic things that I knew I could change with time. So all that is left now is for me to drive my 360 out of here. So huge thanks, Harvey, everything you've done.
Thank you very much.
Massively appreciate it. Alex, thanks as always. Thanks for sending me the link. Yeah. Aldous is out there doing some work, being busy. So I'm going to go out there. Right, here we go, driving away in my Ferrari. honestly, oh my God, we're not even going that fast, but I just don't care. It's not about the overall speed, it's about this experience and that soundtrack. Oh, okay, concentrate, Sam. Don't bin your 360 on the first day of ownership. Now, I realise I haven't quite got my harnesses on correctly, but all of this stuff I need to figure out because I now have a car with harnesses. I mean, I've never had that before in my life, but it's such a cool, exciting part. It feels like, ah! And then listen. Oh, that clunk, that click. So I have to share with you that obviously I've been down about 4 or 5 times to AV Engineering this week to just stare at the car, stroke it, make sure everything was in place, do paperwork, but any excuse to come and just look at it. So it's been sinking in, and today I woke up so early, so ready, and it now feels real. It now feels real. And you know, ever since I started seeing through glass, people have been asking, you know, when am I buying a Ferrari? Because I just talk about it so much. And I think especially this time last year, when I was looking to replace the F-Type, lots of you assumed I would be getting my first Ferrari then. But I always said, I've said it so many times, that the timing had to be right. I didn't want to rush buying my first car with the Italian prancing horse on it because it means so much to me. It always has been that sort of, one day I'll own a Ferrari. I remember going to Goodwood Festival of Speed with my mum when I was like 15, being like, oh mum, when I'm 20, I'll come to Festival of Speed in a Ferrari. 8 years late, I will admit, but I am going to be doing that. And the reason that it's this car, the reason that I've chosen this car, over the last year or so, I've really started to be sort of welcomed into the world of classics. Now, this is what you would definitely call a modern classic. It's not that old, it's 15 years old. But the appeal of a car like this is it's more involving to me. It's more authentic as a driving experience. Whilst I love modern day supercars, do not get me wrong, and my time with the 540C, for example, was great. But there's a side to them where they were a touch too fast, they were a touch too robotic. This, especially with the manual gearbox, just feels like a proper sports car. It's a different kind of car to own to a lot of the cars I've owned or been lucky enough to own throughout my life. And I'm so excited by the experience of learning the quirks, learning the sort of ins and outs, probably learning about the way it brakes, because at 15 years old, there are going to be things that don't work, that stop working. That's just the way it is. It's not a German car, it's an Italian car. But I am prepared for that, I think. At least my accountant tells me I am. And it's, just the passion, everything about it. And most importantly, this was the car, the 360, that when I was growing up was the Ferrari supercar of the day. This is every dream I have ever had coming true, to own this car as my first Ferrari. Lots of you won't understand it. Lots of you will be like, why on earth has he replaced a 540C, a McLaren 540C, with a manual 15-year-old Ferrari 360? Because, for me, it is just one of the greatest driving experiences, and I couldn't be happier. Honestly, could not be happier. There is so much more to come with this car, as you can only imagine. There is 25,000 miles on the clock. 25,000 miles. If I don't double that in my ownership, I feel like I have failed. From an investment point of view, an awful decision, but I just don't care. I want to use this car so much, so often. There's going to be comparison videos, there's going to be monthly update videos. I'm going to keep you across all the different costs. But for now, I just want to enjoy it. I just want to live a day with my I'm going to buy so much Ferrari clothing. I mean, I've already got loads, but I'm going to buy more, and I'm going to wear it all the time, and I'm going to leave my keys everywhere. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm John. Who are you? I'm Sam. I own a Ferrari. That's who I am. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. God knows what you all think. Maybe you'll think I'm a madman. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up, though, if you are happy that I now finally have a Ferrari on seen through glass. And make sure to subscribe for all the adventures, whether it's broken down on the roadside or hooning across the Alps in the 360 that are still to come.